I decided to try a zero waste lifestyle for 30 days, and in this video I will be sharing my experience with you. I initially wanted to live a more waste-free life, and I just thought I kick this off by challenging myself to not produce any trash at all during a whole month. For those who don't know, zero waste basically means not to produce any waste. So the simple goals are to avoid buying things in packaging that is not reusable or decomposable. Mainly avoiding plastic, being more conscious about waste in general, and also as a last resort, recycling properly. So composting, metal in the metal bin, glass in the glass bin, and yes, you guessed it, paper in the paper bin. My rules are I don't want to buy anything that is harmful for the environment or that can't be reused or recycled or decomposed. For example, during those 30 days, I couldn't buy anything that was wrapped in plastic or had a packaging that included plastic. I just want to minimize or swap out things that produce a lot of trash, like tampons or tissues and that sort of things. If for some reason I would not be able to avoid buying or producing trash that is not recyclable, I prepared myself with an empty glass jar that I would use as my trash jar. I got that idea from other people that live a zero waste lifestyle. Of course, I hope this trash jar would stay empty, but that just wasn't the case. The reasons why I want to live a more zero or low waste lifestyle would probably be too long to talk about in this video, but in short, I watched a bunch of documentaries on sustainability and our environments, and they got me really frustrated to see how little respect we seem to have for our planet, and I wanted to change that. So I decided to take a look into the areas of my life that I can change and see where I can have an impact, even if it's just a little one. And I might not be able to change the world, but I can change myself and provide others with a little perspective. Hence, living as environmentally friendly as possible became my new goal. The transitioning phase involved a lot of preparing and researching. I was a bit afraid that I started too abrupt and that it would be too difficult to transition so suddenly. But since I already made a few sustainable changes in my life before, I just needed to swap out a few things that still produce a lot of trash. I'm going to talk more about some sustainable alternatives in a future video. In order to avoid mistakes, I had to research almost everything. Whenever I went shopping, I always had to remind myself to bring my reusable bags and containers with me. And since recycling is sort of the last resort when it comes to zero waste, I mean, let's face it, you can't just buy everything unpackaged. It's just not possible. So I had to check what kind of packaging I can buy. I researched what materials require the least amount of energy and pollution to recycle. For example, glass can be recycled over and over again without losing its quality, and it does not produce any harmful chemicals during the process like most plastic does when you try to recycle it. I had to research where to shop and find out what different packaging different supermarkets tend to use. Yes, shopping became a lot of work. In the process, I also learned a lot about the packaging symbols, what they mean, and which are just marketing tricks. I also want to talk about the mistakes that I made. There were just some things that I didn't know or didn't think of before. That one day I was in a restaurant and I ordered a freshly squeezed orange juice, and it came with a plastic straw. I just never thought of it before and didn't realize that I had to specifically order a drink without a straw. It was too late because even if I told them to please remove the straw, and even if I hadn't used it yet, they would just throw it away. So I decided it had to go into my trash jar. So much for keeping it empty. I felt really guilty and I told myself this could not happen again, and that whenever I'm gonna order a drink, I would always include please without a straw. I think it was even the next morning when I was in a restaurant again with friends and I ordered, I think, a lemonade or something. And of course, it came with a straw again. I forgot about my own rule and ended up having another straw in my trash jar. Before I took a closer look at the packaging symbols, I used to believe that all the paper packaging that I buy, for example, frozen fruits and vegetables, I thought I can just put the paper in the paper bin and it would be recycled. But I never checked the symbols on the back of the packaging indicating that the paper is lined with plastic, meaning you can't recycle it. I have been wrongly recycling during the last couple of years, up to the point where it had probably been better if I hadn't recycled at all. I feel really embarrassed about that. Things I've learned during those 30 days of zero waste. My first day of zero waste shopping was mainly checking all the packaging symbols to see if the recycling symbol is on it. Sometimes people confuse the green dot symbol with the recycling one, but there is just one recycling symbol. I was shopping with my boyfriend and one of our first shopping trips took us hours. I wanted to make a specific dish, but I couldn't find all the ingredients we needed packaged free, or at least not wrapped in plastic at one place. So we had to check at different supermarkets, and it took that long because we were reading through all the labels. We were mainly trying to find specific fruits or vegetables packaged free, and since this experience was very time consuming, I decided that I don't want to look for specific ingredients. I just want to go shopping and buy all the things that I can get zero waste and then see what kind of dishes I can create with the ingredients I got. I have also learned that going to a local farmers market helps a lot when it comes to packaging free shopping. I've also researched bulk stores nearby where I can get grains and legumes in packaging that I just bring with me. Another thing that I've learned is that you can't do zero waste perfectly. That is just not possible. Even if I'm going to a bulk store to shop packaging free, I don't know for sure how the shop is getting their things in bulk. Maybe they're wrapped in plastic as well. I tried to email one of the shops that I've been to get more information on it, but I haven't received an answer yet. I also don't live close to a bulk store, so whenever I'm bulk store shopping, I have to make a huge purchase at once. Also, my local farmers market isn't open every day like a supermarket is, so I have to plan and manage my shopping really well. When I crave something very desperately, I have to find ways to replace or substitute it with something else. For example, I'm really into my berries because I just simply love porridge with my raspberries on top, and finding unpackaged berries, especially during winter time, is just really hard. So I had to replace them with more seasonable fruits that are unpackaged, like apple, pear. I once found strawberries at a local farmers market, but as soon as the berries are in season again, so as soon as summer comes, I'm just gonna buy a bunch of them and freeze them for autumn and winter. And I also decided to grow my own fruits and vegetables as well as herbs because I love rosemary and I just couldn't get rosemary unpacked yet. That one time I was craving burritos on tacos. I'm just really into Mexican food, but I couldn't find tortillas unpacked, or at least not packed in plastic. So I had to make them myself. They didn't turn out how I expected, but it's definitely a zero waste alternative. I actually wanted to go through each and every item that is now in my trash jar, but I feel like this would just take too long, so I'm just gonna talk about a few things, like the 2 straws that I just couldn't avoid. Silly me. In my trash jar are also a bunch of stickers that are on fruits and vegetables. That's also the reason why I prefer going shopping to a local farmers market. I did add an empty tissue plastic wrap. I didn't buy tissues during those 30 days, but I just still used the tissues that I had at home, and I thought I'd just include it since it's a thing that we sometimes forget about. I also added 2 empty painkiller pill packagings. I took 2 painkillers which are wrapped in plastic. I wish I didn't need them, but there was just no zero waste alternatives for a painkiller. I feel like this video is already getting too long, so I'm just gonna jump into the conclusion part, or sort of the future outlook. Even though I had to overcome a lot of struggles, forgot to think about a few things, or made some mistakes, I still want to continue living this lifestyle. Probably not a zero waste, but more of a low waste lifestyle. And yes, it definitely is time consuming in the beginning, like every change in life is. But as soon as you know where to buy what and what to buy where, it is definitely doable. But I also told myself, if there's something that I really need, something that I really want, or something that I simply can't avoid or stop from happening, then I won't get too upset about it. I also received a lot of questions that I actually wanted to answer in this video, but I'm gonna do another video for that where I talk more about the topics like money, is living zero waste more expensive, or where to get specific things. You ask for makeup. I have to say, during those 30 days I didn't need new makeup, so I didn't buy any, but I know that there are low waste alternatives out there. I also received a lot of questions about tissues and toilet paper, or another question was, what if my partner doesn't want to live or buy zero waste? I'm actually really lucky that my boyfriend supported me during that zero waste transitioning, but I know if your partner wants to buy something wrapped in plastic, that it can be more difficult. Do what you can do and just be an example how it could be, but don't pressure others to do it. I don't think you should change everything that I changed. I just think that even the smallest change can have such a huge impact on our environment. So if you're in a supermarket and you see one cucumber unpacked and the other one wrapped in plastic, well, which one will you choose? And someone once said, I forgot her name, but I write it here, she said that we don't need a handful of people doing zero waste perfectly. We need millions of people doing it imperfectly, which is so true. And I just want to encourage you to make more conscious decisions, and just keep in mind, no matter how small the change, you can make the world a little better.